Donovan has some really fun songs for guitar players to play. Now, they are really simple in a lot of respects. Some of them are very complicated. But I put together a lesson on Mellow Yellow that is one of his simplest. It only uses a very few chords, is in a really easy key. And sometimes when I do lessons on songs like this, we use what we call our work it out format. So it's really designed as an ear training exercise, and not because almost anybody could play this song with just, if I just handed you the chords or whatever. So sometimes when we do these, we'll put up the first segment of a lesson, and it will, or maybe even the second and third, without you being able to see what I'm doing. So I'm not going to play it for you just here yet. But I will show you the first, a little bit of excerpts from the lesson here, and if you'd like to check it out, and especially work on your ear training, that's what we do with this lesson, is encourage you to figure it out by yourself. Now, this lesson is available as part of the Target program, and there are many other lessons at Totally Guitars in the Target program that do things like this, that take what might be a simple song, although some of them are pretty complicated, and works you through what to listen for, how to get the melody incorporated, and things like that. So here is the beginning of the first segment, and if you're interested in this, be sure to come check us out at Totally Guitars. There are a lot of other lessons in the free lesson section there, and also here at YouTube at our TG Free Lessons channel. But this is something I do like to do with some songs that are pretty basic, and that is learn how to become a better musician by working on your ears. Anyway, here's the introduction to the lesson on Mellow Yellow. Got it? That's all there is. This is, of course, Mellow Yellow by Donovan. Now, we obviously are going to be working on this for a little bit of ear training, hence the music stand in the way. And there's a couple of things. One is this is a very simple progression. Listen to it first, figure out what key it's in, and what chords are likely to be found in that key, and what chords then I'm playing. Now that you could work on the second half of what I just played through. The first time through, I was picking out the melody. So that would be another thing to look at. So hopefully, before you print up any of the attachments with this, you've watched this, and we'll take the opportunity to figure out the chord progression, and then also figure out a way to play the chord solo version that I played kind of here at the top. So this was, of course, a psychedelic hit for Donovan, with sort of nonsensical words, although that's the way a lot of stuff was back then, in the early 60s. This was mid-60s, of course. The dawn of kind of the psychedelic era, 66 or 67, in that range. And a lot of Donovan songs are really basic as far as the chord progressions go. This is a great example. There are only a couple of chords. We'll talk about, well, hopefully by now you know how many there are. And there's a couple of little variations on it as well. So the first thing is figure out what key this is in. You need to find this chord. I'm not using a capo, there's a hint. And then you need to know what chords are in that key. Figure out what 1, 4, and 5 are, the major chords, what 2, 3, and 6 are, and then listen carefully to the progression when I strum through it to see what you thought you heard there. Now, some of the chords may have been altered as well. There are a few variations on the chords, and some of which might even be outside the key. So that's one thing to listen for. work on picking out the melody. Play it right. Now there are a lot of variations. And then a little ending. Leading us back to there. So, find this chord. Mess around. It's one of the easy chords in the standard open chords as far as the guitar goes. And then figure out what other chords you're likely to hear. Then see if you can figure out the chord progression. This is it without any alterations. And then it lands back. So that was using just the stock triad versions of the chords with no alterations. Get that down first, then go back and listen to the way I played it back at the top and see if you can figure out what little variations of those chords may have happened in there, and then work on picking out the melody. Now we'll discuss all of that as the lesson evolves, but this is sort of the starting point. Take the challenge here and see if you can figure this out. Also, pay very close attention to the timing of some of the measures in particular have something unusual happening in them. So see if you can kind of get the whole form and everything scoped out, and we'll start talking about this a little bit more in the next segment. So if your ears are already in pretty good shape, you probably have it all figured out by now. But if they're not, and you really need to develop that part of your musicianship, I really encourage you to check out this lesson. It's available now as part of the Target program at Totally Guitars.